NeonicVoid Productions presents.
It's not my fault I find appealing this flesh-like angel thingy unraveling itself from a man with a bunch of eyeballs and shit. Or like a fucking atrocity of a Garfield that's like a centipede-like monster.
I've seen that art. I've seen that art so much.
Yeah, that's the artist that where it originated from. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I've seen their art, like, float around and stuff. Yeah. I was so tempted to choose the Saturn eating his son, but I was like, I feel like that one's overdone.
That's not overdone, though. You'd be surprised how many people don't know about that painting. Anyway, hi, welcome to Spookocalypse. We do spooky shit. I am one of your hosts. I almost said my real name, Zio.
Wow.
And who else is here today? I hope everyone's cultured.
No.
Nope. In fact, I am the uncultured chairman today.
Yeah, when he came into the Zencaster, I'm like, who's uncultured? What?
It's like, you uncultured swine.
Yes, I am the uncultured swine that they pulled off the street to look at art. I know nothing and I feel nothing.
Jesus.
In that case, I'll be the most bougiest of bunyips today.
Bunyip, I guess you and me are the cultured ones today.
We went to art school. That's as much culture as we got.
I mean,
that's why.
I mean, you're not wrong. Where's the tea? I worked at an art museum for like a year. You're not wrong.
That's funny because art was literally the only subject I failed in middle school.
How do you fail art?
How do you
fail? Literally, you just draw a picture. What do you mean you failed? Oh, I have questions.
I failed. I don't know.
How do you fail art? All right, who's left? Someone has not introduced themselves.
It's me. I'm the housekeeper. I am average.
Before I have a cultural stroke, please take us through. Take us through the spiel. Oh my god!
I will. I just want to say, like, I'm the one that's in the middle. I'm not uncultured, but I'm not extremely cultured. But once I start going back to school, I am going to have to take art history for some fucking reason. So.
Girl, well, no, it's not for some fucking reason. Everyone should have some art history. And girl, I got you. Got you.
It's for some reason for like an associates in science.
Yes.
I have to have like art and culture. And so one of the classes I get to choose is art history. And I was like, bet, I'm just going to choose that one because it's something I'm interested in.
And I got you. You need help, girl. I got you. On lock.
I got to substitute my art for music, so that's what I did instead.
That's what I did too.
I mean, that's still. I mean, that's culture, just in a different way. So take us through the spiel before we begin this cultural journey.
Okay. If you like this podcast, make sure you follow and rate us on whatever site you listen to your podcast. Share with your friends. New episodes get uploaded every Saturday. Links are down in the description for other podcasts that are part of the Neonic family. Follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at Spookocalypse. That's at SPOOKOCALYPSE. We also have a YouTube channel. Yay! Woo! That will also be down in the description. Probably part of the link tree. We do spooky shit, and mints are on the pillow.
And what says flavored mint?
It's the mints that you find in your grandma's purse.
Oh,
the ones that are like half unwrapped, you know, because they've been sitting there for too long, and they get jumbled around whenever she digs for shit. Like it's. So
and you're not sure if it's from this year or from the last like 2 decades or something.
Yeah, exactly. And like you take it to be polite to you because she's your grandma, you know. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't say no to my grandma, and so you take it and you eat it, and there's like a piece of lint on there, and you're like, because you're trying to like.
And there's like an ant kind of molded into it. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of mint.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
I would have just said it tastes like turpentine, but y'all had to go
Turpentine.
Turpentine.
Well, if it tastes like that, that's going to kill you.
Exactly. It has a bit of mercury in there, you know.
Oh no, not mercury.
You got your turpentine, you got your linseed oil, you mix them together, and you make oil paint. Well, you make your oil paint paintable, more accurately.
There's a little bit of lead in there, you know.
Always healthy.
Always a little bit. You know, having a little bit of lead in your diet doesn't hurt.
So, sorry, I had to do something real quick. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing a cultural episode. This episode was brought to you by Bunyip. Bunyip, what was your idea? Share with the class.
We're doing art appreciation, specifically horror and spooky art.
Black, what are they called? Black. God.
Black.
No, it's called something. Hold on. I was just watching it right now. We're not watching it, reading it.
Black Dahlia.
Black paintings. They're called black paintings.
Oh.
Black paintings are just dark themed paintings, but they're called black paintings.
So this was an idea brought to us by Bunyip, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah. So the idea was that each of us was supposed to find some art pieces from the world of fine arts or modern day art from like Twitter and stuff that is more ooky spooky and horror themed, and we talk about it. Well, turn of events has come around. Everyone's on different levels of culture, on cultured levels. So not everyone's cultured in the world of art, and that is perfectly fine. Some people are in cultured world of music. Those people I don't get. Y'all weird, but you know, we love you. Culture is culture, you know? Music and art are the forefront of cultural and society. I'm just more on me and Bunyip are more on the artistic side. Because we have history.
Art. I appreciate it. I just don't know much about it yet.
You're fine. That's fine. Oh.
You don't appreciate it.
Sir.
It's like, sir, what were you consuming whenever you were in quarantine? Art?
Yes, I was. Film, anime,
art,
drawing,
art. Music, that's art.
Yes, all that's art. Art is many things.
Art is humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I have no humanity then.
Art is pivotal to human society.
Matt
so that's why
just sat in a blank room staring at 4 blank walls and going.
I mean, in some groups,
Mad Chairman.
In some circles, that would be art too.
Oh, you
performance art.
You right.
Or minimalistic art of just white walls and say it's an art piece. You can give it a meaning. That is a whole movement. People did that.
I hate that. I hate that.
People have literally. There's literally been an artist that literally took a toilet seat, put it down on the ground, and said, "Oh, it's art."
I fucking hate
that was
it.
absurdism. He's like, I think he wrote something on it, and it's like, okay, it's art. And I'm like, really?
He signed it, but he signed it an alias. He signed it with an alias name because he didn't want people to know it was him. He wanted to prove a point that anyone would see it as like art. There's a whole thing, but this is not an art history podcast. Well, maybe today I might be.
Kind of.
Well, today I might be. In some ways, I guess it could be. It's a history of horror and film and other medias of art forms and stuff. So I guess you could say in an indirect way, sure. If you really think about it. Not so much in the literal sense, but the finite sense, yeah. So well, three of us chose you know what? Before we dive into the artworks, I just want to ask, Uncultured Mad Chairman. Mm-hmm. When you look at these images, because ladies and gentlemen, we have a Discord that for production purposes here, and we posted all the art pieces that we're kind of going to be talking about throughout the episode, or artists that we're going to talk about. When you look at all these, what vibe do you get? Do you feel anything seeing a bunch of these pieces? Anything stand out at you?
Okay, maybe this one with the eyes. That's kind of creepy, but
which one? One of the
one that looks
red
like
ones?
an angel, or the one that looks like a beholder? Because there's two different
beholder.
Ones. Oh, okay.
The beholder. Okay.
I actually think that one looks cool. I'm like, that's exactly what I think a beholder would look like in real life.
It looks like a screenshot from a Yames game.
It does.
Right? It kind of does.
I hate that.
Like he would put this in the game, and I'm like, damn.
I believe it.
Yes. So, Uncultured Match.
The whole Sistine Chapel looking one.
Oh, that one.
Okay. I guess we're gonna start off with this one first, and then we're gonna go over to Bunyip and because this was the last one that I chose. Because I was like, what else am I gonna put? And I'm like, I need to go extra, and I'm like, are you talking about the throne, right?
The throne.
The sculpture, or which one are you talking about?
They're writing I'm gonna do a little reaction to it. This one.
Oh, the witches going to their Sabbath.
The witches.
Two of them. That's the witches' Sabbath. But they're by they're two different artists.
So, I guess we'll start with that one. So there's one of the pieces I chose called "The Witches Go Into Their Sabbath," made in 1878 by Luis Ricardo Falero. Yes, that's that lovely man. That is an art piece you could look up on the internet. It's basically okay. So, as you can see on this piece, the links will be in the description below because there'll be a bunch of articles and stuff, I'm sure. So, this piece shows a bunch of women floating about in the air, naked. Some have brooms, flying on brooms. One woman's flying on a goat because you gotta live that life. There's also a corpse flying about. There's a lizard in the bottom right-hand corner attached to one of the broomsticks where the corpse is grabbing onto. There's an old woman hanging on a goat, grabbing a young woman's butt. There's a man
There's a cat sitting on her ass.
There's a cat sitting on her old woman's ass. It's flying throughout the air. There's a man being, how would I put it? That man's not going to live for very long. Further up, there's a bunch of women flying about with demons and bats and skeletons. And it's supposed to be like a witches, supposed to be like a bunch of witches, doing their Sabbath, doing witchy shit. This is more of a depiction of like the European witches on how they viewed witchcraft back in the day, where basically that's where you get the depictions of a bunch of women standing in the woods naked around a fire, like you would see in like the movie The Witch. It's witchcraft along those lines. So it's very European centric. What'd you spill?
My water.
Ooh.
It's okay. It's not going to go anywhere towards any electronics.
That's good.
Just my keyboard, no big deal.
No big deal.
I'm going to mute myself for a minute.
So this artist did this painting back in 1878. And there's a little passage from an article from narrativepainting.net that I find interesting that talks about this piece. As Christianity began to take hold of Europe in late medieval era, wild stories of witches and their Sabbath rituals became popular. Often these stories, oh God, where was I? Often these stories indicated and scapegoated women who were easy targets, especially older women who were beyond childbearing years and healers. At times, a single skeptical huntsman who be involved too, they would travel to their secret places in the woods and hold their coven, eat babies and fetuses, communicate with the devil. They would fly. They would ride a flying goat, the goat being a incarnation of the devil himself. The artist gives us all the familiar symbols of this vision meant to titillate. The witches swirl and weave in the storm and a stormy concave, implying sexual fury. The witch at the center stares at us and draws us into the scene with both evil and lust in her eyes. So this is very much what people thought of witches back in the day. Anyone that doesn't follow the status quo were labeled as witches. Healers, people who are doing, of course, older women that were of childbearing age were sometimes labeled as witches, or people. It's like if people were getting spats with each other. Oh, Becky down the street, I fucking hate her. She's a fucking witch. Did you hear about her? And that's where like the Salem witchcraft trials came about. It was basically scapegoating, using witchcraft. Oh, these are witches as a scapegoat because they want to get rid of a group of people that are a problem or they don't follow the status quo. Stuff of that nature. Fun fact. Do any of you guys know the history of the broom with witchcraft or witches?
No.
Nope.
I know the story about the cauldrons and the black cats.
Now, don't quote me on it, but if I remember correctly, the reasons why they have broomsticks is more for a sexual reason.
Word.
Oh.
The depiction of the broomstick and why witches ride broomsticks. Witches ride broomsticks, not in the traditional sense of what we know as riding the broomsticks. Think of another reason. Yeah, lust, sex.
You know,
all that shit.
I didn't notice the one staring off until you described it. I was like, oh shit, yeah, she's like looking you dead in the eye.
She's the only one staring directly at the viewer.
I'm kind of focused on the two in the bottom left, where like the one that seems most prominent, where she's grabbing the man by his left arm, and then the one like that's sitting on his shoulder and has that look of kind of like she's bending over and then twisting her gaze towards him. Well, almost coyly. Yeah,
it's not going to end well for him.
I like there's only really one lady who just like looks like the classic witch vibe, and it's the old lady.
Like towards the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Yeah, the only old woman there.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a witch riding a goat though. I wish that kind of stuck throughout pop culture. That'd be cool.
Of course you would like the goat.
A witch riding a goat? That's iconic.
There's also like a dead pelican on on the top right hand corner. Like a skeletal pelican.
I mean, undead. There's a random bat there. I guess, bats were symbolized for like evil shit. So,
yeah.
This is giving me the witch vibes at the very end because they were doing.
Because I'm looking at that goat and I'm like, hey, it's Black Phillip.
Black Phillip. If you haven't watched The Witch, if you want to know like more of the European centric of like the witchcraft and what that was like or what people thought that was like, go watch that movie. You'll get a perfect depiction of that. With again, a bunch of women in the woods dancing around a fire, talking to a goat, worshiping said goat, and then flying in the air, flying around the woods in the air like this. Actually, it has, in my opinion, one of the most iconic like scenes in a horror movie and just a piece of art in general is just so good. Where she just floats up past the tree. Oh, so good. But that
it stars Anya Taylor-Joy, I think.
Her first role, iconic.
Yes.
Love her.
She was going to say something else, but I forgot. Oh yeah,
but that's the witches going to their Sabbath.
Isn't pretty much the first episode of Spookocalypse?
Yes, it is. And at some point, I would like to redo that with y'all again, like we did with. Didn't we recently just redo a movie?
Yes.
Which one? What was it? I forgot. I forgot.
Crap, what was it called? Oh my gosh. We just did it too. It was kind of weird with
Cabin in the Woods?
No.
Repeat the question?
It was the one we did like on the anniversary of doing that movie.
What was the question?
It was Hereditary.
Hereditary, yeah.
We were redoing old reviews of movies. And I was trying to remember Hereditary. But The Witch is another one that I would like to do a current review with y'all. So that is on the movie list. Because I just love that movie. And any chance I get to talk about that movie, I will talk about that movie. But anyway. So yeah, that is the witches going to their Sabbath. But it has historical context and cultural context of just what people think women are doing out in the woods. Or honestly, witches don't even have to be women. They were calling men witches. It was just less common than calling a woman a witch. It was mostly women, but every now and then you would hear about them calling a man a witch. That was more so, I think, in the Salem days, but I'm sure in Europe there was a few men that were accused of practicing witchcraft and talking with the devil too. So
yeah, but they weren't called witches.
Yes, they were. Well, at least in Salem, they were. I don't know about Europe, but yeah, anyone that practiced witchcraft was like witchcraft. Ah! So, but mostly it was women for the most part. And then that goes into the discussion of witches as a term. Because, yeah, they don't, in modern day stuff, they don't really call men who practice witchcraft witches when honestly...
They're called warlocks now.
That's kind of dumb.
In modern day time.
That's just me. Being called a witch should be it should be a blanket term, not a gender term.
Yeah, well,
but that's just me in my opinion.
Well, everything has to be in binary.
And men who practice witchcraft today are not called warlocks. On pop culture and like TV shows and stuff they are, but I don't think in the actual practice they're called that.
No, my brother calls himself a warlock. And he he practices like Wiccan and stuff like that. He calls himself a warlock.
It just sounds better being called a witch. It just sounds better.
You also love the term. You love witches, so I perfectly understand why you think that. But no, like if you go up to my brother, like he says, like he'll say he's a warlock. And I'm like, okay.
Anyway, so who wants to, Bunya, you pick a piece next. Pick one of your pieces.
Oh, one of my pieces. Oh,
yeah, one of your pieces.
I gotta scroll up a little. All right.
I see that you have a fascinate. You really like this particular artist.
That's kind of what I was intending. Like, we just pick an artist and a few pieces, and then you're just like,
no.
I'm gonna pick all the artists.
I'm gonna talk about like the artist as a whole, but like
I just think they're neat.
there's a plenty of. I just love art, guys. Oh my god! So Bunyip, the floor is yours, please.
All right, let's take a look at Fragment of a Crucifixion by Francis Bacon.
Ooh.
Let me zoom in on this.
Love Francis Bacon.
Me too.
Now, if you try Googling this, it shows you like what inspired it as opposed to the painting itself. So I had to look a little harder, but it's an incomplete painting that he did in 1950. And it was oil and cotton wool on canvas. And let's see. So a little backstory on Francis Bacon. He was an Irish-born British figurative painter, and he specialized in making raw and unsettling imagery, usually focusing on the human form and making portraits of popes and crucifixions and self-portraits and then portraits of other people. And that's all you need to know about Francis Bacon for now. The rest of it is like really detailed, and I'll let everyone else look in that. So to describe a Fragment of a Crucifixion, it shows two animals engaged in an existential struggle. The upper figure, which could be a dog or a cat, it's not entirely clear, crouches over a chimera and is at the point of killing it. And it stoops over on this horizontal beam of a T-shaped structure, which obviously looks like the cross that Christ was nailed to. The painting contains thinly sketched passerby figures who appear as if oblivious to the central drama. Yeah, that's the stick people in the background. They don't know what's happening. And it was mainly inspired by two things. Number one, this still from a silent movie called Battleship Potemkin. And it has this lady who's screaming, their mouth open and her glasses are broken. And it looks like she's been stabbed in the eye. And it's just bleeding all on her face.
What's it called?
And the other thing it's inspired by is the film Battleship Potemkin by Sergei S. Eisenstein. Looks like that's what the name is.
Sergei.
Oh, Sergei.
Oh, I see it.
And
I see the picture.
Another...
The still.
And another inspiration was Descent from the Cross by Peter Paul Rubens, which it looks to be Jesus being lowered from the cross after he has died.
Oh.
So this picture, Fragment of a Crucifixion, is in a similar vein of, I suppose, showing the crucifixion, but it's not complete, hence the name Fragment.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you post?
The picture, the still.
Oh, that picture.
A still.
Yeah, there's the film still.
Yeah, I see it.
As for anything to say additionally about this, I don't know. I just, like Housekeeper said, I just think it's neat.
Me and choosing my art. I just think they're neat.
I'm sure there's symbolism to this, but I didn't really look into it that much. I'd have to look at someone else who's looked at it much harder than I have and be like, oh, this is what it means.
I mean, I looked at the symbolism of the... Because there's a few paintings that Goya has done about witches. I think he has two.
Love you post. Yeah, the one that you posted, which is Sabbath, which I think, don't quote me on this, which I think inspired the Witches Go Into Their Sabbath by Luis. Because the Goya one came out before, obviously, by almost 100 years. So they get inspired that one. Don't quote me on that though.
But I was watching a what's it called? A film essay on his works about witchcraft and stuff. And there's a couple of them. There's two of them that are called Witch's Sabbath by him. There's one that came out before the one that I posted. And then there was Witch's Flight, and then there was Witch's Sabbath, the one that I posted.
Yeah, Witch's Flight's right. I posted right under it on the Discord.
And the first two, a lot of the witchcraft stuff is all in the dark. So it's basically like a commentary on how all of this stuff is made up. It's all in your head, and that's why it's in the dark. It's above their heads, is because that's all it is. It's fake, and you're just making yourself fearful for no reason. That, and because they're in the dark because it's something that's unknown, and people are always scared of the unknown. So like it was like a two in one commentary on that. And I was like, oh.
And it goes back to the whole witchcraft, calling people witches as a scapegoat for something a little more sinister from like people to people.
Because people are assholes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. You have any more information on Goya?
Oh, yes. Hold on.
Francisco de Goya.
Hold on.
Love him.
So Francisco Goya was a Spanish painter and he was born in March 1746, died April of 1828, and he is considered the most important Spanish artist of the late 18th and 19th centuries. And Goya, he's referred to as one of the last of the old masters when it comes to artwork, and he has this whole set of paintings that were known as the Black paintings, which is just, it explored a lot of the darker aspects of thank you whichever cat that was.
That was Oreo.
Thank you, Oreo. About like the human psyche, and it was, and all of them were applied on oil, like on plaster walls. And honestly, like out of all his works that he's done, and like one of them is like Sacrifice to Pan, which is a beautiful painting by him. But I think that his Black paintings are by far my favorite ones that he's done. One I didn't post on there. There's that I was going to talk about was Saturn devouring his son. You did post one that's Saturn devouring his son, but it wasn't by Goya. But the one that I posted, I'll talk about that one, is the Witch's Sabbath. And this Witch's Sabbath is, we're going to start in the middle, and it is of a goat that's kind of like a priest-like goat. Like he's black, and he's like kind of sitting up like on his hind legs, and like he has his front legs kind of extended out, like reaching out towards the women that are surrounding him, and he has like this crown of vines around him. And we're gonna start off on the right hand side where he's kind of touching a woman like on her shoulder, and she's bringing a child to him. And as you go down, you see a woman, an older woman, holding a very sickly child. Like he is nothing but skin and bones. And as you go around to the other, like we're going clockwise, you see a woman laying on top of a baby. Like you see little baby legs hanging out from underneath her clothing. And then there's two other women, and between the two women and the lady laying on the baby, there is a dead child laying on the ground, like skin and bones and basically decaying. As you go upwards, you see a stick in the back with 3 babies hanging from their necks. Yeah, it just gets dark the more you look at these. You look at the little things that he puts in. But you see 3 babies hanging off of this stick, and then there's like older women around him. And as you look up to the sky, you do see bats above him, kind of as if the dead babies weren't enough. Like it kind of like is a last sprinkle of this is spooky woo type of feel to it. And I chose that one. And there's another which is Sabbath, which is another priestly like goat, but he's just surrounded by like tons of women, and you don't really know what's going on. You see like some screaming faces and stuff, and I think like you see like one or two faces of men, but it's mainly just women. And again, like you have no idea what the fuck's going on in that one. But those are the two for the witches' Sabbath. And I can't say for sure if Witches Going Through the Sabbath was actually inspired.
If not, I can see where he would get like inspiration from, especially those two works, to make the Witches' Sabbath for as far as Luis Ricardo goes.
I mean, like the older lady, yes, I can see a lot of like symbolism in that. Well, not symbolism, similarities. Words, what are they? Like, because they have kind of like the same type of features. And then of course with the goat and the bats.
The goat's obviously a recurring theme. Yeah. Since you were talking about Goya and you were mentioning Saturn's, oh my God, Oreo.
Saturn devouring his son.
Yes, Saturn devouring his son. Since you were talking about Goya, I thought I might as well talk about that. So I did post another painting of Saturn devouring his son in 1636 by Peter Paul Rubens. But Goya did do a version of this took the idea of Saturn devouring his son, and he did a work inspired by that story as well. But that was about 200 years later.
Yes.
Yeah, because his Goya was like in the 1800s and Rubens was in the 16. So yeah. I think Goya's is a lot more terrifying than Rubens, because Rubens' painting depicting the devouring of Saturn's son, which in mythology standpoint, if you do not know, here's a little mythology lesson for you. This is not Tea of the Gods, but I will give you the context. Saturn is the Roman equivalent to Kronos, and the child that he's devouring is Zeus, right? Yes, Zeus. Right?
I thought Zeus was the one that was hidden away and then would come back for revenge.
Unless it's Hades. But basically the story goes that the Titan devoured all his children, and Zeus was saved because one of his children was destined to kill him. And Zeus was saved by his mother, hidden away until he got old enough, and then he took down his father and released his siblings.
It doesn't really say. It just says the Titan Kronos,
it might be Hades.
Fearing a prophecy foretold by from Gaia that predicted that he would be overthrown by one of his children. Saturn ate each one upon their birth, and this is one of the black paintings, the 14 so-called black paintings,
one of the
that
14
he painted directly on the walls of his house.
Yeah, I think it's probably Hades, because he did not devour Zeus, because he was tricked by his wife, and he ate a rock instead.
Yeah, well, I think Hades
so I'm
was the only one that did get eaten.
It's just like, how do you confuse those two?
I don't know. He was fully enraged because he ate all Zeus's brothers and sisters all got eaten. So he was the last one to be born. So his wife is like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I guess he was crazy enough where he didn't even notice he ate a rock.
So what do those stars at the top of the painting represent?
The stars on Rubens' piece. That's a good question. I do not know. I mean,
there's only like 3 things going on in this one. Like the dude eating the baby, the clouds, and the stars. So I figure.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, he's biting the baby nipple first.
Yeah, in Rubens' version, he bites the baby's chest first, while in Goya's, he's already like mid devouring the baby, head and arms gone, and it just is in look of crazy. Like he looks a little unhinged.
He looks terrified, like he has to eat them, almost like he
like
doesn't want to.
Like his eyes are wide open and white. His knuckles are white because of the grip he has on this child, and he's just like full batshit insane. Like the insanity is full
the stars
force.
above the old man remind us that Saturn is also the name given back in antiquity to the sixth planet in the solar system that is visible to the naked eye. Hold on. I'm still reading it.
Saturn is visible to the naked eye?
To the naked eye. However, this is an odd arrangement. Beside the main gleam of the light are two smaller stars, whose presence is not quite clear. It is now known that Saturn is surrounded by a ring that only can be seen with a telescope. When Galileo discovered this phenomenon in 1610, he believed that the ring was two satellites positioned on either side. So maybe Rubens was familiar with this interpretation. And so he did follow the advances of his age with extreme interest. So he could have probably put that it was Saturn and what was believed to be the two satellites floating around it. And it's up in the clouds, so you know. I don't know. I'm just reading. I Googled it, and that's what they said. And it's oil on canvas. Most all classic artworks is oil paintings. So. Zio? Probably was taking care of the cats. Okay. Do you want to talk about another one, Bunyip?
I was just thinking about a familiar painting, The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli, 1781.
Did we post that one?
I see this commonly. I didn't post this one. This was one of Zio's, but I find it interesting because I've seen this picture a lot, especially when someone's describing night terrors.
Yeah, that's basically what it feels like.
Like this hairy gremlin thing just sitting on your chest while there's a horse peeking out behind some drapes. Bright pale eye.
That's my sleep paralysis demon.
And how the lady is falling asleep. It's in a very dramatic way. Like she's had her head tilting off the bed, her arm is dangling and touching the floor. Her other arm is curled back and like gripping the bed. Or wrapped around. I'm not sure how to describe that. It's in a different pose.
Isn't it a thing that you can't really fall asleep like that because you feel like you're falling and then your body immediately wakes yourself up?
I mean, I've fallen asleep laying like straight up rigor mortis style, and I still like have jolted myself awake because I was falling in my dreams. So I don't. Like, I mean, like, it looks like I would be laying in a coffin, like, straight, like...
Oh, Lord.
But, I mean, also, with your head dangling off like that, blood rushes to your brain, so...
Maybe it's supposed to emphasize, like, the distress.
Let's see. The nightmare.
There's writing on the blanket that she's on.
Like, since when are paintings supposed to be realistic anyways?
Goya also painted something called The Nightmare. Wow. The figure that sits upon the woman's chest is often described as an imp or an incubus, the type of spirit that's said to lie on top of people in their sleep or even have human relations, adult relations.
Oh, you're talking about The Nightmare
with the sleeping woman.
Yeah. Let's talk about it briefly while you were away.
Painting is suggestive.
Yeah,
the painting is suggestive but not explicit, leaving open the possibility that the woman is simply dreaming. Yet her dream appears to take a frightening physical form in the shapes of the incubus and horse. According to Henry's friend and biographer John Knowles, who saw the first drawing he made for the composition in 1781, the horse was not present in the drawing, but was added to the painting later. It is tempting to understand the painting's title as a punning reference to the horse. The word nightmare, does not refer to horses. Rather, in the now obsolete definition of the term, a mare is an evil spirit that tortures humans while they sleep. In heathen mythology, was related to torment or suffocate sleepers, a morbid oppression in the night. This is on smarthistory.org.
Oh, I have that same article brought up. And speaking of that, this painting also became an icon of a defining image of Gothic horror, inspiring the poets Erasmus Darwin and writers Mary Shelley, Edgar Allan Poe, among many others. So, yeah. So this painting is very much in the cultural significance of things. And I actually learned about this piece in my many hours and a year-long art history. We talked about this one. Let's see. So there's that one. Next up. Okay, I'm just going to jump to the gun, go straight to the last one I posted. So, last one I posted and I chose for an art piece. It's not really a painting, it's a sculpture. And I'm like, it's art. And I'm like, I have to talk about this fucking thing because this thing is batshit insane. So, everyone knows the Pope, right? Lives in the Vatican, old man, the head of
Catholic.
The Roman Catholic Church, all that fun stuff. He has a throne in the Vatican that is a sculpture made. It's called the Reincarnation. Reincarnation, the Resurrection. Sorry, I was looking at something else. The Resurrection. And it's the resurrection of Jesus Christ. This thing looks batshit insane. This looks like an eldritch horror. It looks creepy as hell, like he's some supervillain in some JRPG thing. That's the whole meme with this work, because it just looks so creepy and out of place for something like. Honestly, you really think about it, it's not that out of place for the Vatican Church, because there have been a lot of pieces around religion that are very like off-putting and creepy, but it's very much just Jesus in the center of this piece while he's coming out of what looks to be like an explosion. And the idea of this, so this was created by Pericle Fazzini. Don't quote me on that. It's a Roman artist. It was finished in September 1977. This took over 10 years to make. Basically the idea is depicts Jesus rising from a nuclear crater. So this is made during the time of when in the 20th century, where mankind was living under the threat of nuclear war. So very much the Cold War. And this is Jesus coming out of a nuclear crater of radiation and shit. And I'm like, oh, that's creepy. And the Pope, it's made out of bronze and copper alloy.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. It's 66 feet by 23 foot by 10 feet. So it's huge. The artist, while working on it, he got a blood clot while burning, while working on it back in, the original work was done in the frames of burning plastic, gave the artist a blood clot during this production.
I feel like that was a sign from Jesus himself.
Yeah.
Why does he look so creepy though?
Because he's literally coming out of, so he's forming out of like the radiation and an explosion, because supposedly it's Jesus rising from a nuclear crater in the garden of, how do you say that?
Gethsemane?
Yes, that. So like somebody dropped a nuke on that garden and Jesus is rising from that explosion of that garden.
And they ruined his face.
I'm not the one who did it.
Better.
Made it better. Girl.
I'm just
and
like,
the Pope sits in front of
thing off on his right. It looks like a halo. It's also part of his face.
Yes.
Oh, is that
actually,
what that is?
it's like his hair that forms like a halo, a weird halo, or like the.
Are you sure
Yeah, are you
like
sure
a
that's
crown
not
of
his
the-
crown?
Crown of thorns?
His crown of thorns.
It looks
Yeah,
like it's his hair. It looks like it's his hair that's formed that kind
That
of
looks like
it's blown to the side, and it.
Sorry, that looks like the crown of thorns.
It looks like
the
hair.
crown of thorns.
Yes, but I think it's his hair because it's coming from the hair that's on top of his head. Unless his hair, but his hair is probably forming the crown. Yes, but I just find this piece so just interesting. Like the Vatican's like, yes, we need a creepy piece here. We need the Pope sitting in front of something that's creepy as fuck. Yes, make it huge, make it nuclear. Jesus resurrection and from a nuclear bomb. Yes, we love the idea. Everyone's like, yes, Pope, word. And he sits in front of it and just not even batting an eye like it's a normal day. What?
I mean,
what? I love it. I would love just to see this in person, just to stand in front of it, just look at every little nook and cranny of it, because it's just batshit insane.
You're gonna set a flame.
Honestly, I do want to go to the. I really want to go to the Vatican so bad, just to see the fucking weird shit there.
Well,
like,
they only allow you to see a certain amount of stuff. There's still a lot of shit. That's like
I know. I want to go. I want to go to the secret archive so bad. And be like, oh my god, I'm a Catholic. I'm a Catholic.
Yeah, they'll believe that.
I'm like high up in the priestdom.
So speaking of
bullshit,
popes, I got a closer picture of that little.
Yes. Oh yeah, it looks like it's kind of both, like his hair forming a crown or the crown's merging with his hair or some shit.
Speaking about popes,
it almost looks like wings too, like the fabric from his body is forming into the explosion and radiation. So continue.
No. I totally agree with you. But can we talk about the Screaming Pope series that Francis Bacon painted?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Again, batshit insanity. Some of the most scariest stuff is religious based.
Like I only read like this in passing, but apparently it's supposed to be like the Pope getting like electrocuted in the chair. Like he's getting the chair. And I was like, what the
Riding
hell?
the lightning?
The chair of lightning, yes.
Interesting.
Wow.
And I was like, what the heck?
Bunya, would you like to
I wanna
elaborate?
Google it.
Well, before I go into it, I imagine it's either like the Pope being punished for not being popey enough, or that's what ascending
Okay,
to
so
heaven
the
looks like.
truth behind
Oh,
Francis Bacon's
It's the
screaming
terrifying
Pope. Go
experience.
away. Bacon worked on his Pope paintings. The first surviving version. Hold on.
that's not creepy at all.
Hold on. I'm trying to Bacon's popes depart even further from their source, often replacing the pontiff's head with the equally recognizable screaming face of the wounded nurse mown down by soldiers of gunfire in the Odessa Steppes sequence of Einstein's film Battleship. Potent. Oh God, the screaming face is the same lady.
Oh,
Bacon's obsessive reworking of the theme suggests that it may have possessed further significance and perhaps psychological charge for the artist in relation to his sexuality. It has been remarked that the Pope in official garb is, in a sense, the ultimate drag queen, or less literally, that depicts depictions of the Holy Father, known in Italy as Il Papa, may encapsulate Bacon's traumatic feelings about his own father. The latter was a conventional, inflexible military man to whom the teenage Bacon had felt sexually attracted, as he recalled many years later, but who brutally admonished and rejected him when he discovered his son's homosexual inclinations. Such speculations about the possible subconscious content of the Pope pictures involve perhaps a rather crude application of the methods of the Freudian psychoanalysis. Once again, it is neither altogether possible nor helpful to pin Bacon down. That's one of the things that they think it could be.
Wait, so
There's
three
five
different?
There's
They're the
there's
same
five
subject.
different ones.
Okay.
So the one that the 5 that I posted,
Oh,
it's all part of that series. He worked on his Pope paintings, variations of Pope Innocent the 10th. Let's see. The screaming mouth, isolated from other facial features and divorced from their context, suggests existential agony. Pathos of human vulnerability and the loss of faith or conviction are insinuated by the precisely rendered space frames. There's a lot of big words in here. I'm just like, oh. Which make the figures register as enclosed in the wretched glass capsule of the human individual. This is some deep analogy.
Yeah, and it has these black vertical lines going up and down over the Pope, so it's like a prison.
There's one that has black and gold lines. There's one that has black lines. There's another one where the lines are going away from him by his feet. Like the lines are going far away from him, but there's no lines that are really going down. And but the ones that are there are hardly visible. And then the last one has gold and black lines going around. I don't know about the first one though. I don't know how to describe that one. Ooh. Bacon inserted references to photographs of the then Pope Pius XII, a controversial figure who was sought by some to have appeased the Nazis. A photograph of Pius on his throne being carried from St. Peter's appears in one of Sam Hunter's 1950s studio montages and was clearly the basis for some of the subsequent Pope pictures. Oh, that would make sense.
Again, just it's something about religious work with themes of religion and shit that just some of it's real. People really go creepy with it.
You want to talk about some of these images that you posted, Sia?
I was gonna get to. Are you talking about the art from modern day? Not, the one modern artist.
Yeah, I actually like Omega Black Art, to be honest. He's one of my.
I know. I literally, again, this is an artist on Twitter. His Twitter handle is Omega Black Art on Twitter, and I love his work so much. And you're probably like, oh, I don't know this guy. Plot twist, you probably do. You just don't know that you do. He's one of the artists that did the whole Garfield horror artwork where it depicts Garfield as a centipede-like Lovecraftian monster that has a cult of dogs that worship him and sacrifice John to him. I just love how he uses black and red a lot of the time. And it's like, I no longer require eyes, John.
I think there was like a post that he did recently that he goes like, I think I need to use more red in my art. And I was just like, stop.
And his work has an underlying theme of religion, heaven. Like Garfield talks about, well, this piece, it says, heaven is a void of light, John, and I am eternal, John. It shows the cult stabbing him. But he has a reoccurring theme of religion, angels, the devil, God, and he makes it more alien. So he has this whole series of work, which I'm really curious about, because I can't tell if it's just a series of work or if it's like a video game project or if it's just what do they call it? An ARG called Salvation that he does, where it talks about God coming back and these and angels and its core, it's religion, God and the angels and stuff, but it shows like angels and stuff and more of a almost demonic light, almost alien. Like for example, he has one piece where it shows a telephone tower that has a cross that glows bright red out in the distance in the field. I'm assuming this is probably like the Midwest, maybe. Oh my God, Kat, I swear to God.
I see those telephone satellite towers.
Yep, and it has all his crosses on them. And in this piece, it shows a nude man in the field where his body seems to be like blooming out. It's like these wings that have eyeballs and it's like red and muscly and tendrily. And then these tendrils come out and form a orb of like discs that have covers it's covered in eyeballs.
It looks like a Bible's rendition of an angel. Be not afraid.
Yes.
Throne.
Yes, it's one of the biblical depictions of an angel, but it's made out of flesh. And it just looks more Lovecraftian and more just like horror, more alien and almost demonic. And that's like a recurring theme of his work is just how he takes biblical imagery or sayings and just turns them into something terrifying and gory. Where it's just like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to go to heaven. Maybe I don't want to go there, you know? Because if it's like that, that's creepy. Take my flesh and make it holy. So he takes a lot of these sayings. There's a certain, like, some works that he incorporates, like Jesus and demons or quote unquote demons that look more like angels. He does a lot of custom horror work around these twisted themes. And the way his art style is very grotesque and very just bodies are deformed and like stretched and almost like mutilated. And it's just it's so good. I love it. It's like, I look at it and I'm just like, so good. And sometimes he has Bible verses on the pieces as well. Like there's one where it shows like an angel at first glance it's like an angel. It shows a humanoid where you see the rib cage and it shows the wings are covered in eyeballs and like a very twisted grin, bald with like hair almost like it's falling out and like these roots coming out from the wings. And it shows like the halo that you would see like in the Renaissance paintings. And it's a Bible verse, for in Christ lives all the fullness of God in a human body. But it shows like a terrifying image. But the point is it has verses like that, but it shows terrifying imagery of something with like the silhouette or a look of something that should be like you would think it'd be holy, but it takes it and flips it on its head. So it makes it more terrifying. And I just love that. Again, religion, Catholicism, Christianity. It's ooky spooky if you really think about it. Like we can go over a whole episode on why some of the, I mean, you could probably do it with, honestly, you could do it with any religion, but Christianity, some of the, what do they call it? Some of the, the text itself.
Verses.
The verses. There you go. The verses. Some of the imagery it talks about. The fact that you eat the body and drink the blood of Christ. When you really think about that, that kind of has a creepy tone to it. Not necessarily, not bagging on it on anything, but when you think of like, you could easily twist that into a horror scenario. And there's like a good, man, but that's like that with all like old religions. It's not just Christianity. So you can find like creepy stuff in pretty much any religion. Like for God's sakes, the Norse mythology, the dwarves are not what you depict, what you think be dwarves. The dwarves, with the fact that Norse mythology was pretty much a good chunk of it was eradicated when they brought in the pagans to Catholicism, so they lost a good chunk of the mythology. But nonetheless, the dwarves, some people say the dwarves are nothing more than corpses underground that make the weapons, or just living corpses, zombies. So it's like a lot of weird, creepy shit. And just when you really dived into like the pagan religions as well as like the modern day religions, there's a lot of creepy shit there. And his work illustrates that with when it comes to Christianity. Depictions of it. Well, I would say probably more like, I would say Christianity, yeah. It doesn't really go into like Judaism or Islam or anything. It's just more so Christianity. But his link will be in the description below in some form. Like I said, I messaged him to figure out what links he would like to be posted. But for now, a link of his Twitter, Linktree, something of that nature will be in the description, so you can go look at his work in full on his Twitter, or if you wanted to follow him on Patreon, he has a Patreon. Yeah, I personally would like to have him on the pod.
Me too.
As like an interview to kind of talk about what's your inspiration for your work. Give us a rundown. But that's something to put a pen in and see if he's even interested in doing any of that. But nonetheless, his work is amazing. If you like those themes of religious themes turned on its head and look all creepy, and of course he does have work that's not religious based too. It's just the way he does his work is just, I want to watch him do the process. He has a Twitch channel too. It's like I want to catch him when he's on live on Twitch, so I can just watch him do his make his work. So I want to see it done live.
I see.
It's just interesting how he gets his body proportions and how he twists the body, distorts it and stuff. So that's Omega Black. Is there any other artists? Did we miss anybody?
As in, like, artists we haven't discussed yet?
Yeah. That we've posted about? Oh, there's that Vincent Van Gogh one.
Oh my God.
A skeleton smoking a cigarette.
Listen, like,
That's a mood.
I honestly posted that just because. Oh yeah, there was also another one by Goya that we haven't talked about either. But this one is literally called Skull of a Skeleton with a Burning Cigarette. And I think Vincent Van Gogh doesn't have a lot of dark art. And like, this is one of them that technically is like the only one that he has that I think. And honestly, I just picked it because this is probably one of my favorite pieces from him. It really
it's a mood.
It's a whole ass mood. And like, a lot of people always talk about like his Starry Night or his Sunflower piece. But nah, man, this one, it's so simple. Whenever you think Vincent Van Gogh, you wouldn't think of this kind of art. And it's so simple, and I love it. I love it so much. It's literally just a skeleton that has a cigarette in his mouth with a black backdrop, and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. It's just a whole ass mood. I don't know what the inspiration was behind it. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, mood. Like, I just feel it in my soul. It's like, Van Gogh gets me.
Because at the end of the day, your body has a skeleton inside of it, trapped. That just wants to smoke and escape.
And then, of course, the other one I just think is neat that there's no deep lore that I looked into. It's called Two Men Eating Soup, the Witchy Brew by Goya, and it was painted between 1819 and 1823, and it's literally just two old men just sitting there with a bowl of soup. Like, one of them has a big old smile on his face, and the fingers like pointing off to the side, like, hey. And then right underneath that, I posted the meme. I just think they're neat because those are my two paintings. I just think they're neat. I like them. There's no deep, analyzing it. I just like them. I was looking up something. Oh, what?
So it looks like kind of back to Omega Black Art. It looks like Salvation's like a comic series. It looks like. I'm gonna look into that. There might be a future episode on his project Salvation.
Ooh, he just posted this new artwork like an hour ago. That looks cool. Yes.
Come Forth. She has a goat demon thing with 3 eyes. Yeah. God, I want him on the pod. Oh.
I'm a father, man.
Yeah.
Oh God. The bad thing is though is that my main is not what I don't even treat my main as my main. I treat it as my side. He's gonna be like, why does this K-pop blog follow me?
I'm sure a K-pop blog is not going to be the weirdest
Probably
thing that follows
not,
him.
but still. He's looking to be like, why is this K-pop blog following me? Because I think you're neat.
So, ladies and gents, I think that's all the pieces we've talked about. think that's all of them.
Yeah, there's a handful that we didn't talk about.
Called Flaying of Marsyas.
Oh, the Flaying of Marsyas. Yes, that one. So a brief overview on that one. Flaying of Marsyas was made between 1570 to 1576 by Titan. How do you say that? Titanian?
It looks like
Titian? Yeah. Something odd.
Basically, this was one of his last. I would assume this is one of his last paintings because it's because he died in 1576 in let's see, where's he from? Czech Republic. No, Republic of Venice. Sorry. Yeah, he died in 1576. So this painting was made from sometime between 1570 to his death. Somewhere in there, within those 6 years, this painting was made. This painting is a oil painting, if I remember correctly. This painting was a late Renaissance painting. It depicts the death, or not the death, I should say, the punishment of Marsyas, which is a satyr. This is the punishment that of course, this is one of his last works, and it may be unfinished, question mark. Because I guess some people think it's not finished. But the Tale of Marsyas is basically like he went to if I remember correctly, a satyr that challenged Apollo in a music contest. He lost, obviously, and that was his punishment, his skin to be filleted inch by inch. So you see him in this painting, the satyr hung upside down, while you see people playing one person playing an instrument and a bunch of other people, satyrs as well, kind of digging into his skin, because that would be his punishment, is being filleted. Trying to think of anything else. I'm trying to look for anything else that's significant about this painting outside of retelling the tale of this satyr and his dreadful loss. As far as the painting, I think that's the choice of such violent scene was perhaps inspired by the death of Mark Antonio. And Mark Antonio, the Venian commander of Cyprus, who was filleted by the Ottomans when the city fell in August 1571. So I guess this was I don't know if I would say inspired by, but there was a commander that was filleted, skin was filleted by the Ottomans. And I guess that inspired him to make this piece because it was very much, they had the same fate, I guess. Double flute. I think that's pretty much it on that one, is that there was real life implications of somebody of the Ottomans flaying a commander, I guess, in the place that wasn't too, that he was a commander of his home, and got filleted. So I guess he made a painting in either response or it reminded him of this tale. Yeah. Without getting too heavily into historical time period and shit, there's a lot of historical context to that outside of that commander being filleted, which honestly, that's kind of metal that people would fillet other people. Metal in a very terrifying way. You just take bits of their skin off piece by piece. God damn. Who has the time?
They did.
I don't have the time. Do you have the time?
There was nothing else to do.
Except for murdering
Pretty
everybody.
Oh, the lunar event.
The lunar event.
Yeah, Dead by Daylight's doing a lunar event thing.
Well, on that note, is there any final thoughts on today's episode?
Hey, go and follow Omega Black Art on Tumblr. He has literally no fucking notes on his artwork there. And it makes me upset. I was like, he deserved, like, because that, like, Tumblr is known for the artwork a lot. And, you know, degenerates, because only degenerates go on that website now. Anyway, but, like, look, like, these are some amazing, like, artworks. 30 notes, 24 notes. This one has a lot. Well, not a lot, but, you know, it's decent. Like, 245, 140. Like, none of these are even hitting 1,000. I think the lowest I've seen is, like, 30 notes. And I'm like, wow. This artwork deserves so much more than that. Oh, but there's someone who sent an ask, said, is it okay for others to edit your images and use them on other sites as display images? And he put, if there's credit to me, yes. So I'm assuming us talking about his artwork wouldn't be an issue.
Because we're just talking about his work. Yeah. But I thought I'd reach out, and I also asked him, like, what links would he like us to put in the description, so we could properly flood people, guide people to the right place to find him. Or that we
he's
would.
Also
or
selling
he would
merch.
Want.
Like, he sells merch, and like he has prints for like $10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually kind of want to buy some of his prints.
One. I want the
when I get money.
so bad.
But yeah, so look forward to that. I'm going to put a pin in that because, you know, I would love to have, that's one of my goals for these podcasts, not just this one, but all of them, is to have guests every so often. So here's hoping that happens, because it'd be cool to have Omega Black on here, because I would just ask all the questions. It'd be like, what inspired you to do this? Give us a deep dive. Tell us about your work. Give us a rundown. What makes you tick?
I hope you don't ask him.
I'm not going to try to scare him away, you know? I don't want to scare him away or anything. His work is just an inspiration to me. So, alrighty. Bunyip, Mad Chairman, any final thoughts?
No, not really. I think I said all I wanted to say, and I was mainly listening in on all the discussions. So, So the culture tier list goes as follows. Mad Chairman is maybe at the bottom D tier.
Damn.
Damn.
You're not wrong.
And then Housekeeper's at like C. And I'm
well,
at
listen,
B.
C's get degrees, yo.
Dio is like
C's
S.
get degrees.
See, D's get degrees. D's for diploma.
No, I always consider C's passing. D's are failing for me.
Yeah, but you know, D's get diplomas. D is for diploma in college. Remember that, kids. D is for diploma in college. As long as not one of your major classes, if it's like the base level, like English, math, and those, D is for degree. Just don't have to be one of your majors, because that's different. D is for degree if it's math. That's how I survived. That's how I fucking survived that shit.
Not me thinking that I had to take
And
all of those
too.
fucking math classes. I was just like, I'm not going to survive.
So, Bunyip, you're saying D level is Mad Chairman, C level is
Housekeeper.
Housekeeper. B level's you.
Yeah.
And then A level's
and then you're at
me.
S tier.
S tier? Oh, stop. Gosh, swamp. You know, I never thought that my art history background of sitting there and listening for 2 or 3 hours, no, probably 4 hours a week, listening to lectures of art pieces would actually be useful, but it was actually useful today. So if you ever have a chance, ladies and gents, take an art history class, do it. You learn about the world that way. Because regardless if the paintings are horror based or think about flowers, there's always underlying layers of what's going on in that person's life and society at that time. You can tell a lot about an artist by their work. You can tell when they start going, with some artists, you can tell when they start going off the rails, or they start, especially with some of the classical artists, mental health comes into the picture. You can kind of sometimes see when their work kind of steers in a direction of like, are they okay?
They start self-medicating.
Yeah. Or maybe sometimes they're just in an enclosed room with oil paints and chemicals that are not good for you, because that kills people. Fun fact, artists didn't live very long back in the day because oil paints are toxic. They will kill you. Yes, the fumes will kill you. Yeah. It's not healthy. Don't use oil paint unless you're in a well-ventilated area. Don't do it in your bedroom. Don't do what I did in art school. I did that once and I regretted that shit. I lost brain cells.
That makes more sense now.
Shut the fuck up. I set myself up for that. I can't be mad at that. Fuck you. Fuck you. One time I did that. I regretted it. It was a horrible decision. I regretted my choices so quick. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Catch us next time as we talk about something else ooky, spooky, and kooky. Until then,
bye.
Bye. God, I just love creepy shit.
You get it.